Hello, Motion Mystique fam. Today's movie is called Hereditary. The movie begins with the funeral of an old woman named Ellen Lee. Her daughter Annie gives a distant and awkward eulogy. She admits that her mother was a private and secretive woman, even in her final years. What no one realizes is that this death marks the beginning of something evil, something passed down from one generation to the next. At home, Annie is trying to keep it together. She's a miniatures artist and spends her time building small, eerie replicas of her life, including the scene of her mother's deathbed. She lives with her husband Steve, her teenage son Peter, and her 13-year-old daughter Charlie, who is strange, quiet, and always making a creepy clicking noise with her tongue. Charlie was especially close to her grandmother, maybe a little too close. She sleeps in the treehouse, draws disturbing pictures, and once she calmly watches a bird fly into a window, then casually cuts off its head with scissors. But soon, something starts to feel off in the house. Peter is invited to a party, and Annie, trying to push him to be more social, tells him to bring Charlie. She doesn't want to go, but she does. At the party, Peter gets high. Charlie, unsupervised, eats chocolate cake, not realizing it has nuts. She's severely allergic. Her throat swells, she gasps for air. Panicking, Peter throws her in the car and speeds down the road. Charlie sticks her head out the window, desperate for air, and in an instant, bam, she's decapitated by a telephone pole. Peter doesn't scream, he doesn't cry. He drives home, walks inside, and lies in bed in total shock. The next morning, Annie walks outside, finds her daughter's body in the car, and lets out a scream so raw and horrific it cuts through your soul. From here, grief takes over. Annie spirals. Peter is consumed with guilt. Steve becomes cold and distant. Charlie's headless body is buried, but her presence isn't gone. In her grief, Annie starts attending a support group. That's where she meets a woman named Joan. She seems warm, friendly, understanding, and she introduces Annie to something dangerous, a seance. Joan claims to have connected with her dead grandson. She shows Annie. They light a candle, the glass moves, a spirit makes itself known. Annie, desperate to feel close to Charlie again, tries the seance at home. And something answers. Objects move. The air grows heavy. Peter is horrified. Then things get worse. Peter begins hearing clicking sounds at school. He sees reflections that don't move with him. His face twists into expressions that aren't his own. And at home, Annie starts sleepwalking again. One night, she finds herself standing over Peter's bed, soaked in paint thinner, holding a lit match. She wakes up screaming. Trying to understand what's happening, Annie goes through her mother's old things. She finds strange symbols, a photo album full of cult-like images. And there is a picture of Joan, standing with her dead mother. Joan isn't just a grieving friend. She's part of something darker. The pieces start to fall into place. An old book Annie finds talks about a demon named Paimon, one of the 8 kings of hell. He needs a male host to walk the earth. Charlie was never supposed to be the final vessel. Peter was. It's a horrifying realization. And now it's too late. Annie discovers Charlie's headless body in the attic, rotting. Her own mother's grave is empty. Steve doesn't believe her until he sees it for himself. In desperation, Annie throws Charlie's old sketchbook into the fire, and Steve bursts into flames instead. Annie floats. Her body moves unnaturally. She's no longer herself. Peter wakes up alone. He wanders the house, but something is watching him. He sees his mother crawling across the ceiling. He runs into the attic, and what he sees there is pure nightmare fuel. Annie is levitating, silently sawing her own head off with wire. Peter jumps from the window, either dying or giving up his body. A glowing spirit drifts into him. Peter rises, but he's not Peter anymore. He walks into the treehouse. Inside, candles flicker. Naked cultists bow. Charlie's headless body kneels, wearing a crown. A model of a triangle surrounds him. A crown is placed on Peter's head. Joan calls out, "Hail Paimon! Hail!" She says, "You are our king, one of the 8 kings of hell. We've corrected your first female body, and now you're free to rule."